Welcome to the 38th week of this year's In Times Like These recap. Now let's get into this, starting with Isabel Torres, who arrives to her daughter Ulisa's funeral with her other two children, Pacho and Nichelle. Isabel is comforted by the Dorvals and Isidore, while Pacho keeps Isidore at a distance after a call with his lover, Vivian Jones. Nichelle is supported by her boyfriend Zeke Franklin and his sister Quinlan. Jeremiah reads Ulisa's obituary and salvation testimony, followed by Pacho's emotional tribute. The Torres family is stunned when Isabel's ex-husband, Devante, unexpectedly appears at the burial. At the Dorval estate, Shelley shares her stress about hosting funeral guests, which is amplified by her early pregnancy. Jeremiah encourages her not to worry and suggests they tell their children, Vanessa and JJ, about the baby the next day to lift their spirits. Shelley is unsure, voicing concerns about the worsening world they're bringing the child into. Jeremiah reassures her, reminding her to trust in God's plan and that they'll raise their new baby with hope and faith. Shelley confides that she feels more worried than she did with Vanessa, but Jeremiah comforts her, assuring her everything will be fine. Vanessa is comforted by her boyfriend Max Russo, who jokes about seeing Ulisa again when they're old and grey in heaven, bringing a brief smile to her face. However, JJ interrupts, questioning how they could laugh at such a time. When Max tries to explain he was just cheering Vanessa up, JJ accuses him of failing to prevent Ulisa's passing by not acting sooner when Kiev was at the school. Max apologizes, but Vanessa defends him, saying Kiev is to blame. Max, feeling guilty, walks off, while JJ insists that Max needs to learn from his mistakes, just as he does. Quinlan checks on Zeke, who is worried about Nichelle not returning on time. Quinlan reassures him, explaining that everyone mourns differently, sharing how their own mother stayed stoic after her father's passing. Zeke, frustrated by comparisons to their mother, expresses his exhaustion. After Quinlan apologizes, Ben arrives, and Zeke goes inside to wait for Nichelle. Quinlan tells Ben about Zeke's concerns, and Ben admits Ulisa's funeral reminded him of his Aunt Elvira's passing, even visiting her grave, which gave him a new perspective on his late aunt's passing. At the cemetery, Pacho confronts his father, Devante, questioning his presence. Devante explains he chose the burial over the funeral, but Pacho is furious at him for showing up. Devante apologizes, expressing grief over Ulisa's death and hoping to reconnect with his family. Nichelle coldly wishes it was Devante who died instead, accusing him of taking Elvira Russo's life. Devante deflects, refusing to confess, which enrages Pacho and Isabel. Isabel lashes out, accusing Devante of taking Elvira's life and having no right to mourn Ulisa. After an officer removes Devante, Isabel breaks down, comforted by her children. When Max and Heidi return to the Russo estate, Heidi notices her son is in a worse mood. Max confesses he feels partly responsible for Ulisa's passing. Heidi immediately reassures him that he's also a victim and shouldn't feel guilty for surviving. Max insists he could have called for help instead of confronting Kiev. Heidi tells him that none of that matters now. What's important is that he's okay. Max, feeling Vanessa's family blames him, shares that JJ holds him responsible. Heidi urges Max not to take JJ's words to heart and reminds him he did his best to protect others. When the Dorvals gather the family, JJ and Vanessa are surprised to hear good news. Their parents are expecting a new baby. Vanessa is thrilled, but JJ is conflicted, questioning why they would bring another child into such a harsh world. Vanessa, frustrated, insists that a new baby is what the family needs, though JJ remains distant, struggling to feel joy after Ulisa's passing. As JJ walks off, Jeremiah assures Shelley that JJ will come around. Vanessa encourages her mom, reminding her that she's excited to help with their new sibling this time. When Vivian sees Pacho, she asks how the funeral went, and he breaks down in her arms. She comforts him, assuring him there's no shame in crying, especially after losing his baby sister. Pacho reveals the shock of seeing his estranged father, Devante, at the funeral. Though Vivian understands Devante wanting to say goodbye, Pacho expresses anger, recalling how Devante still refuses to admit his past wrongs. After gathering himself, Pacho urges Vivian to focus on their plan to take over the family company. Vivian confirms she's targeting Isidore's shares, and Pacho asks how she plans to achieve this. Nichelle thanks Zeke for keeping her company at Theodosius Palace and reveals she saw her father, Devante, before arriving at the Dorval estate. Shocked, Zeke asks how she felt, and Nichelle admits she adored her father but now hates him after Ulysses' passing. She's angry not only at Devante but also at God, questioning why Ulysses had to die. Zeke tries to comfort her, but Nichelle grows frustrated, feeling abandoned. In her pain, Nichelle suggests they hook up, but Zeke hesitates, not wanting to take advantage of her vulnerable state. Despite his reluctance, Nichelle makes out with him. At Global News Press, Quinlan welcomes Pacho back and shares her excitement for her new TV program. However, Pacho asks her to focus on violent school tragedies for her first episode. Though Quinlan acknowledges it's a heavy start, she understands the importance, especially with their siblings still healing. Quinlan agrees to take on the serious topic, hoping her program can help find solutions, and Pacho praises her for not letting him down. Vanessa, haunted by flashbacks of the school tragedy, is startled when Max approaches her. Max apologizes, understanding that she's reliving the trauma of seeing Ulysses' final moments. Vanessa assures him he's not to blame, echoing what Max's mother told him. Still, Max struggles with guilt, feeling he could have stopped Keith if they'd acted differently. Vanessa reminds him that Keith had planned the attack regardless, and while Max wishes he knew what Keith was thinking, Vanessa emphasizes that they can't change the past, but can look forward to justice being served. JJ, still processing the aftermath of the school tragedy, is approached by Yvette Mitchell, who asks how he's doing. He sarcastically responds, reminding her that his first day back involves learning that a friend died because of a former friend's violent outburst. When Yvette asks if he's referring to her past involvement with Keith, JJ criticizes her for warning Max and Vanessa instead of alerting school staff. Yvette admits she feels bad for Ulysses' death, but refuses to take responsibility for Kiev's actions. JJ accuses her of guilt and questions why she didn't attend Ulysses' funeral, ultimately wishing the roles were reversed, leaving Yvette hurt as he walks away. In Esidore's office at Russo Jewelers, Vivian reveals to Esidore that Lorenzo, his father, signed half of his shares in Russo Jewelers over to her, citing her work ethic. Esidore is shocked, asserting that only family should hold shares. When Vivian mentions that Lorenzo intends for Gianni to succeed him, Esidore feels betrayed. She offers to help Esidore take over the company, believing Lorenzo is no longer fit to lead, and questions what she stands to gain if Esidore becomes CEO. Can't get enough of the crazy world of In Times Like These? Then, treat yourself to a binge watch of In Times Like These. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe if you're not ready for what's to come. But tune in anyway.